The origin of marriage. The institution of marriage is now the subject of a bitter national debate. How did marriage begin and why? Marriage never started today. It has been a long time practice back in olden times. But let us date back to the beginning of life. Adam and Eve were known as the first couple that was joined by God. They lived on earth and procreate. So is their offspring continuing with the practice. Adam was the first as a man, and then came the woman gotten from his rib to be called his own, and they became one in God's eyes. Now let's us dive into the modern origin of modern marriage. The first recorded evidence of a modern type of marriage ceremonies uniting one woman and one man dates from about 2350 BC in Mesopotamia. Over the next several hundred years, marriage evolved into a widespread institution embraced by the ancient Hebrews, Greeks, and Romans. But back then, marriage had little to do with love or with religion. What was it about then? Marriage's primary purpose was to bind women to men, and thus guarantee that a man's children were truly his biological heirs. Through marriage, a woman became a man's property. In the betrothal ceremony of ancient Greece, a father would hand over his daughter with these words, "I pledge my daughter for the purpose of producing legitimate offspring." Among the ancient Hebrews, men were free to take several wives. Married Greeks and Romans were free to satisfy their sexual urges with concubines, prostitutes, and even teenage male lovers, while their wives were required to stay home and tend to the household. If wives failed to produce offspring, their husbands could give them back and marry someone else. When did religion become involved? As the Roman Catholic Church became a powerful institution in Europe, the blessings of a priest became a necessary step for a marriage to be legally recognized. By the 8th century, marriage was widely accepted in the Catholic Church as a sacrament, or a ceremony to bestow God's grace. At the Council of Trent in 1563, the sacramental nature of marriage was written into canon law. Did this change the nature of marriage? Church blessings did improve the lot of wives. Men were taught to show greater respect for their wives and forbidden from divorcing them. Christian doctrine declared that the two shall be one flesh, giving husband and wife exclusive access to each other's body. This put new pressure on men to remain sexually faithful. But the church still held that men were the head of families, with their wives deferring to their wishes. When did love enter the picture? Later than you might think. For much of human history, couples were brought together for practical reasons, not because they fell in love. In time, of course, many marriage partners came to feel deep mutual love and devotion. But the idea of romantic love as a motivating force for marriage only goes as far back as the Middle Ages. Naturally, many scholars believe the concept was invented by the French. Its model was the knight who felt intense love for someone else's wife, as in the case of Sir Lancelot and King Arthur's wife, Queen Guinevere. 12th century advice literature told men to woo the object of their desire by praising her eyes, hair, and lips. Men and women alike put all of these into practice, and deeper connections started to flourish in most relationships.